Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed my previous video on the Halloween Gambit, because this video is about the Halloween Gambit as well. It's also played by Grigor Minchev, the same guy from the previous video, but this game he's playing against V. Velev. It was also played in 1994 and, well, this is the Svishtov Students Tournament, and his opponent decided to play a bit differently than Mr. Petrov from the previous video. So let's see how to handle the Halloween Gambit when Black decides to defend differently. We have E4, E5, Knight to F3, Knight to F6, Knight C3 and Knight C6. So the 4 knights game, and like we explained, White has a ton of options here, but there is one special, that is Knight captures on E5, and this is the Halloween Gambit. Knight captures on E5, we have D4, as in the previous video, Knight to C6, now D5, Knight to E5, now F4, everything is the same as in the previous video, Knight to G6, we have E5, Knight to G8, D6, C captures on D6, and E captures on D6. And this is the exact same position from the previous video where Mr. Petrov played Queen to F6. But here Mr. Velev plays Queen to A5. He takes a different approach to try and defend. We have H4 by Minchev, now Queen to B4, adding pressure to this D6 pawn, and the Queen to E2 with check. We have King to D8, and now F5, attacking that knight on G6. We have knight captures on H4, and we have A3. Now trying to kick the queen away from the defense of the knight on A4. If queen to D4, then bishop to E3 again gains the tempo on the queen. So unlike in the previous video, Black decides to give back the piece much sooner. So knight captures on G2 with check. We have queen captures on G2, and now queen captures this pawn on D6, and it seems like Black managed to defend his position. We have bishop to D2, and now queen to E5 with check. This is well, you're so much underdeveloped, and Black should definitely go for moves like knight to F6 or something to try and develop his pieces. But he plays queen to E5 with check. We have bishop to E2, and now again a knight to F6 or any kind of development is better than what Black played. Black played queen captures on F5, so grabbing a pawn. And well, you do have now, Black is up 3 pawns, but his king is on D8, this bishop cannot come into the game, both rooks cannot be developed, and well, a move like knight to F6 was definitely preferred. So we have a queenside castle by Mr. Minchev, and queen to G6 now. Again, playing with the queen, and well, Black is up 3 pawns, and he would definitely like to exchange queens, which is not in White's favor. White would probably want to play something like queen to F3, queen to F2, maybe queen to H2, as White is, well, every White's piece is developed, and he should definitely keep the queens on the board. But White gets a different idea, and he plays queen captures on G6. This pawn is pinned, so H captures on G6 isn't really possible. F captures on G6 was played, and now knight to B5. And the knight isn't really doing anything on B5. It's just there, you know, making his presence known. And well, Black totally disregards this. He plays knight to F6, and the White plays bishop to F4. And knight to C7 or bishop to C7 isn't really much of a threat. But as this is the Halloween Gambit, Black probably got a little bit scared, and he played knight to E8, trying to defend the C7 square, although he's defending it for no reason. Bishop to E3, and this is something you'll often see in games where the Halloween Gambit was used, where the player with the black pieces doesn't really handle the position too well. He plays A6, and again a move like knight to F6 or D6 was preferred, but weaker players will tend to play a move like A6 to protect the A7 pawn, and this allows Black a beautiful king hunt. Bishop to B6 with check. We have king to E7, and Black probably thought that, well, I'm attacking his knight on B5. After the knight moves, I will consolidate with the D6 or maybe king to F7 and get my pieces into the game. But Mr. Minchev, as he is such a Halloween Gambit expert, thought about this, and he played rook h to E1. giving up the knight on b5 for a nice discovered check. We have a captures knight on b5, and now bishop to c4 check. And now this bishop is covering d8, this bishop is covering f7, this rook is covering the entire d file, this rook is covering the entire e file. So there is only one move available to the black king, that is king to f6. And well, it's very unfortunate because, well, with best defense it's checkmate in 7 moves. And so the king hunt begins. We have king to f6 and now bishop to d8 with check. King has to go deeper into the position. King to f5. We have rook to d5 check. And now black has the option of going rook to f4 or rook to g4. Sorry, king to f4 or king to g4. And if king to f4, which was played in the game, it's mate in 4 moves. But let's just check what happens if king to g4. If king to g4, then rook to d4 check, king to h3, rook to e3 check, king to g2, now rook to d2 check, king to h1, and rook to e1 check. That's checkmate, unfortunately for black. But in the game, after rook to d5 check, king to f4 was played, and well, this allowed a much more elegant checkmate. We have rook to d4 with check, king to g3, and now bishop to h4 with check. Why not bring the bishop into the game to have some fun? King to h2, and now a silent but a deadly move, bishop to d5, and there is no defense against rook to h1 checkmate. But black decided to play this game on, and he played bishop to c5, although it doesn't really matter what move he plays. Bishop to c5, and now rook to h1 checkmate. And again, Mr. Grigor Minchev created a beautiful Halloween Gambit king hunt masterpiece. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed these 2 Halloween Gambit games. One was a pretty swift victory for Mr. Minchev. The other one was a very nice king hunt. I don't believe I'll be featuring any more Halloween games on my channel, maybe until next Halloween. So I do hope you enjoyed it. And well, like I said in my like I said in my previous video, for those of you who enjoy such things, have a happy Halloween and have a good time. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon.